that radio. You call that radio TV. No. You call that radio TV.
This is You Call That Radio.
This is You Call That Radio TV. Tonight we have Will Sharron in the house, who is author of Dreaming in the 21st Century. It is an incredible book from what I've seen of it, and I've watched many of his videos on YouTube. And this is just going to be an interesting discussion. I know there's quite a lot of you excited to sort of try and have a greater understanding of your dreams, what it all means. And so this is going to be the first in a new series called Dreams Are Mental. And they are mental. Shout outs to Big Al, the polar bear, for once many years ago saying dreams are mental, and it kind of stuck in my head. We're going to be talking about coincidences, synchronicity, and all that stuff as well. So we'll bring Will on in a minute, who is all the way in New Mexico. So we'll get him in a little second. We're also Raffle tonight. It's another raffle. We are trying to do a raffle every night in December. These are the daft days of December. So I'm trying to reward all the Patreons with a new raffle every night. And tonight we've got a very special raffle. We've got Jennifer, who you might remember from Monday's show, Beat the World. Well, Jennifer is going to be supplying us with an actual dream catcher. So I thought it was quite nice to, a nice bit of serendipity, I suppose, that we're going to be talking about dreams tonight. And then you've got Jen, who's making these amazing dream catchers. So I'm just going to show you what the dream catchers look like. And also, if you want to be part of the raffle tonight, then there's still time to become a patron. And I'll show you what the dream catchers look like. So you've got a choice of 3 dream catchers. Exhibit A. That's a great Beat the World, by the way. It's you got this, Exhibit B, or Exhibit C. So you have a choice of dream catchers that you can win tonight. And the way to do it is by becoming a patron at patreon.com/You Call That Radio. We're on 179 patrons. If we can get to 182, which I believe is a sacred number in dreams, I've dripped about 182, and 3 is the magic number. If we get 3 more patrons tonight, then we'll announce who is playing our live all-day spectacular Christmas from Capture Works on the 19th of December. We just need 3 more patrons, and we'll do it tonight. So thanks to everyone supporting, and let's bring on all the way from New Mexico. Let's just give him a round of applause as well.
You Call That Radio.
Fucking radio. Here to tell people that we hear you. One God will not allow.
You Call That Radio.
However you want to see it.
You Call That Radio.
You call that radio.
However you want to say it, that's kind of part of the fun.
Powered by our patrons.
Brothers and sisters.
We are indeed powered by our patrons. I'll put the link in the comments if you want to join tonight's raffle to win the Dreamcatcher. And now it's time to welcome all the way from New Mexico, Will Sharron. How you doing?
Very well, thanks so much. Listen, those are beautiful dream catchers. They rival the ones you can buy out here. So, yeah, I hope.
Interesting.
I hope a lot of people.
That's good. That. What is you're an expert in dreams. So, what are you looking for in a good dream catcher? What is it you're looking for?
Well, there's two different ways of thinking about it. First of all, these are These are really well crafted, and there's a sense in them of the mystery of dreams. And so there's this type, and then there are other ones that are made out of more natural elements like feathers, and they come out of the native people out here. But when I just looked at these, I mean, my goodness, they're really very beautifully made. And what a dream catcher is really is the idea that you have this experience that comes out of your imagination. And like we were talking about before we got on talking, it's like, first of all, it's a very ordinary experience. It's a very ordinary human experience. And I always say that because I want to sort of make it clear to people that this is just a part of your day, that your dream experience is the same thing as your musical experience, as your conversation with your friend in the pub or whatever. It's all of a part of the same thing. And the thing about a dream catcher is that it was really talking about is capturing an aspect of your experience that isn't from up here, okay? That is not cognition, is not something you thought up. It comes out of your imagination, comes out of your creativity. So, what you were saying, before we got on the air, which is something that's really a beautiful thing to do, is when you wake up in the morning, don't get up. Give yourself 5-10 minutes to just come from that experience. Remember the dream if you can, and write it down, and we can talk about why that's a good thing to do. But allow yourself the reverence of that aspect of your experience, the dream state, the sleep state, because I'll tell you, there's a lot going on when you sleep that we've kind of discarded in this sort of the modern era. We've decided that the only thing that really matters is what we can think about. If we can't think about it, it's something else that's less important. And
absolutely. So we're talking about so we were just to touch on what we were talking, to bring people up to speed with what we were mentioning is, I was referring to the fact that I've actually gotten some really good ideas for music, what I would consider to be some of my best work, or maybe of a high quality compared to all the shite I come up with when I'm awake. But just that kind of sort of half sleeping sort of. So why is that? Why do you think that is? Why is the work that the ideas that you come up with, why can they be more interesting if you are writing and a sort of still sleeping? Because that's another good point as well. Maybe you could just add on top of that. It's why does it take me so long to load up? So some people can just wake up like that and they're ready. And for me, the process can last an hour or two. The positive is that I can be creative and write, but the bad news is that I can't really talk to anyone on any real level.
I would argue you're in better shape than a lot of other people, because when somebody jumps out of bed in the morning, as I was saying before, they're insisting that their experience, the only valuable experience, is to get up and do something, get on with their day, and so on and so forth, right? And if you look around the world, I'm not against people thinking, obviously. We've thought up some great stuff. But the problem we have is that it's not in the container of our imagination most of the time, right? And there's a part of our experience that allows us to feel. And your creativity, your ability to write. Paul McCartney credits certain songs from dreams. Einstein came up with a theory of relativity because in a dream he was standing in a beam of light. We know that if you're working on a problem and you stop and you go either listen to music or look at art, for 15 or 20 minutes, and I did this intuitively when I was in the corporate world, you come back refreshed. Why? Because you're allowing a different aspect of your experience to come in, other than this sort of compulsion we have to figure it out, make it work, all that kind of stuff, right? So it's, we've evolved, that's very clear, obviously, but we still sleep, and everything that is alive sleeps. Now, I don't know if they all dream, but we do.
I've got loads of questions.
Okay.
And every time you start talking, it reminds me of another question. So what about people, a couple of people, and from my own experience as well, we're talking about how smoking cannabis, marijuana, the wacky backy, if that seems to sort of stop you dreaming, or at least stop people remembering their dreams, what's going on with that? Are they not dreaming, or are they just not remembering their dreams?
Well, I can tell you that, like anything you put in your body, different people have different reactions to it. So I can tell you that there are some people who smoke weed and have amazing dreams. There's a couple of things about the effect of marijuana. One is when you're awake, you make connections between things that normally you wouldn't make if you were not high. Well, why is that? Well, you've got a part of your brain, it runs up and down the middle of your brain. It's called the default mode network. And without going into the science of it, which I'm not really qualified to do anyway, what does this thing do? It kind of dumbs you down, right? It blocks out a lot of experience. Why? Because you got to move around in the world. You got to get up in the morning, put your clothes on, and you can't be fascinated with, looking at your dream catcher or a chair or whatever, right? So we have a catalog of stuff. We know what that is, so we don't pay much attention to it. When you smoke marijuana or you take any other kind of substance, it interferes with that default mode network, with that sort of dumbing down of things. So you make connections that you wouldn't normally make. That's kind of on the plus side, particularly if you're sort of in a creative kind of business or that's what you like to do. The downside of it is, and it really depends on how much of it you smoke, right? It is tough to kind of get back into remembering, like what just happened, okay? And that could be one of the reasons why, people, when they wake up, don't remember their dreams. And let me just say one other thing about remembering your dreams.
Is this the experience? Because we are, is it necessary? Because I know that you're a big believer in it's not about, analysing the specifics, but experience the dreams. So could it be that someone who's smoked a shitload of hash has actually still experienced their dreams because they're in a relaxed state? So they've actually experienced the dreams and it's been quite a good experience for them, but they've just not remembered what's happened.
That's a really interesting idea. I've never thought of that before, but that's quite possible. It's like anything. When you smoke that much dope, it's like, what are you really trying to achieve here? An altered state can be very useful. And we can alternate our state just by drinking a cup of coffee, quite frankly. But here's the thing. Let's talk about this idea of remembering. What are we trying to remember, right? So a lot of people say, well, you're going to set an intention and put a notepad by your bed and blah, 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 blah. And that's all good. But I think they forget that what they're trying to remember is half a conversation. Okay, there's a part of you that is trying to talk to you through your dreams. And it doesn't speak the language that you speak. It speaks in imagination. As a musician, I think you're probably better connected to this than a lot of people who aren't. Because what's music? Music is not, you have to know how to play, but it really is imaginative. It really is a connection with the other musicians you're playing with that has nothing to do with, figuring it out and speaking it. You're playing it. You're in it, right? That's what a dream is. Dream is trying to talk to you in that way. Now, some dreams, a lot of dreams, aren't a lot of fun. They're uncomfortable. So you say to me, well, Will, that's great, but why do I remember this conversation? I couldn't get my clothes on. I couldn't find anything. All kinds of bad things were happening. One of the things dreams do a lot is they're trying to show us how we're organizing our experience in the world. So, for example, I have a client who's a musician, and she has a lot of dreams about being late, not getting organized, all this kind of stuff, right? So that's what she's telling her. The dream is trying to say, this is what you're telling yourself. This is why, you can't, quote, make it as a musician, because you've got this story that you're disorganized and you can't get anything done. So we got to interrupt that story because it's not true. Your dream is trying to say to you, this is not true. You are a musician. You do have something to say. And so that's what that conversation is about a lot. And that's why it's
So that's
useful.
it's that's you're just saying so. Sorry if it sounds like I'm interrupting. It's just because you say so many things that I'm
problem.
curious
Yeah.
about. So, would you say that the way that you reckon that if someone's having a dream that they're unorganized and late a lot, that's their dream telling them the opposite? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that the dream is basically showing you this is what you believe. And there's always an implicit question in the dream, is this what you want? Now, that's not every dream, but that's a lot of them. That's a lot of dreams that I work with are, there's some kind of a disruption. There's some kind of feeling like this does not feel good. Later today, I'm going to do a workshop and there's a dream about a guy who works in a corporation. And in the dream, my God, there are unethical things happening and somebody gets fired. He doesn't want anything to do with them. Now, that's not who he is. But he is trying to draw his attention to the fact that he has lost his passion. He's lost his fierceness in life, right? And that's what the dream is trying to show him. So the unpleasantness of the dream is not the message. The unpleasantness of the dream is to say, hey, this is what you're doing, and this is how it feels. Is this what you really want?
I remember. Well, I've been clean of Football Manager computer games for about 12, 13 years. So, there was a time where I could just get tore into Football Manager or LMA Manager or Pro Evolution Soccer, computer games. And when you used to shut your eyes, you could actually be on the transfer market as if your brain had so used to seeing the transfer market. So but by that I mean, just players over £20 million, players over under, you'd just be scrolling on the transfer market so much. It's almost like the brain has taken a picture of all the pixels on the computer. And I always wondered, how accurate do you think that would be? Do you think the brain could get an accurate representation of a computer game if you played it all the time?
Well, let me say two things. We'll talk about precognitive dreams second. But when you dream, first of all, when the dream you have, you created it. Okay, it didn't. I mean, dreams happen to you, but you create them. So you are the writer, director, and executive producer of your dreams. So what do? You got a story you want to tell, but you need a location and you need characters. So whatever's handy, right? So if you've been watching this computer game, your dreamer goes, okay, we'll take that. We'll stick it in the dream because it's here, right? So that's one reason that we get a lot of, you watch a television show and you have a dream about one of the characters in the television show that's nothing to do with the show, but you stick them in your dream for a reason. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is this thing we call precognitive or, pre-thought. What's that? Well, we live in linear time, you and I, and pretty much everybody else, right? We get up in the morning, we go to sleep at night. And what Einstein once said was, reality is illusion, an illusion, albeit a persistent one. And what he meant was that this idea of linear time is not the only sense of time there is at all. Really, what you and I have, and everybody watching this has, is right now. Right now. That's all we've got. Not the past, not the future, not our possessions, not anything except right now.
It's interesting you're saying that, Will, because that's on one of the little jingles that we have on this show that we play all the time is it always important? It's here and now. Nothing mystical just now. I'm not sure where the sample's from, but yeah, I'm on side with that.
Yeah, so if that's the case, right now is what we have, then the past and the future is all here. Now that sounds a little woo-woo, but I've experienced too many dreams from clients where they come in and they have this dream and it's about, a lot of mothers have these dreams. This mother had a dream that her daughter went into the hospital. Now she lives here in New Mexico, her daughter's in France. She woke up the next morning, her daughter was in the hospital. So what we do is one of the ways we can think about it is we borrow from the future and we bring it back. Okay. However, the idea, and maybe there is somebody out there, but the idea that you're going to dream where a particular market is going to be or what the winning number is or whatever, I would say that's remote. Why? Because that has to do with your ego. think of it this way. You have imagination and then you have fantasy. What's the difference? Well, imagination is just creative. It's not thought up. It happens, right? Fantasy is, what if I won $1 million? This is what I would do, right? So now your imagination is in the service of your ego. You are deciding what's going to happen, and you're telling your imagination, make this up, make that up. It's not very useful, right? Your imaginative life will really inform you in ways that you don't really have to decide anything. Things become obvious. You know, I'm sure you've had the experience as a musician where you wake up and the music or the words just flow out of you. They're just obvious. This is what the song is. Versus where if you sat down, and you know, sometimes I'm sure musicians do this in terms of writing lyrics, where you sat down and tried to figure it out. It's different. It's a different process.
Absolutely. I think that, you know, you can hear when you've just woke up, you can, obviously I'd also like to point out the musician's a bit of a strong word for me. I would say writer is probably, but vocalist and writer is probably, so it can be quite a frustrating experience for me at times because I can hear this beautiful music in my head when I've woken up and there's these melodies. In fact, sometimes it can happen after a couple of beers as well, that kind of same experience whereby you can hear the music in your head. And that's why you'll find on my phone, there's lots of voice notes of my moments of genius that are quite hard to comprehend to a sober middle of the day mark, you know?
Well, okay. So
so you try to capture it, and it's obviously the imagination's there, but you know, in your head, you're hearing, you know, the music, the lyrics that you can hear while you're sleeping. You're like, oh my God, I need to remember this. I need to remember this because this is good. And obviously, you've only got a brief moment before it all disappears. And I suppose that kind of that we're kind of bordering into lucid dreaming, but we're going to go to lucid dreaming later on. I want to just some comments coming in, so I just want to say hello to the people who are tuned in. Alan's tuned in. Hello, Alan. Hello, Colette. How you doing? Sugar Cube. We've got Susan. Legendary Susan is in the house. She says, why do we have boring dreams? I have a reoccurring dream which is so boring I groan and wake myself up on purpose. I'm loading bags and passengers onto a spaceship and they keep wandering off. Very interesting. That's a good point because, you know, are all dreams meaningful, or are sometimes, you know, either it's just nonsense or, yeah, why is why boring dreams?
Well, okay. Let's take that word meaningful and set it aside for a moment, okay? Because whenever we say meaningful, now we're getting up into our heads again, right? We're trying to figure out what this is. And whenever you figure out a dream, you throw the dream away. You don't need it anymore because you have the meaning. So I'm going to suggest we don't do that. Repetitive dreams. Usually you have the dream again and again and again because one idea is there's part of you that's saying, hey, you're not getting this. So I'm going to keep making you watch this movie until you get this. The idea of a dream being boring. I mean, I've had clients come in and say, man, there's nothing here. When you tell that dream to someone else and they actually listen and they actually ask you, okay, so the spaceship and the bags and how are you feeling in the beginning of this dream and what's going on? And basically what we do is we animate the dream. We give it an emotional range. And all of a sudden stuff starts coming up like, oh yeah, right. And I don't know what, you know, there's no way because I don't know your friend Susan, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But that's the sort of the process. First, you got to remember.
So let's just maybe go reiterate that bit because I think we maybe spoke about this at the start, and obviously I've watched your videos, which is a sort of thing that you come back to very often, is that rather than analyze the bags and the airport and the spaceship, is analyze how you're feeling. So I suppose her emotion is that she's feeling bored, so bored that she can actually groan herself out of, she can groan herself awake, which is an incredible skill. And that's kind of tying into lucid gronin. Have you ever heard of lucid groaning before?
Yeah, so there's a whole thing about lucid dreaming. Well, here's the thing. Let me just go back to her dream for a second. So is she bored in the dream, or is she bored of the dream? In other words, is she just bored by having this dream over and
I
over?
think it's both. I'll read it. I'm just reading it back there. It seems to be the dream is so boring, I groan and wake myself up on purpose. So it sounds like she feels bored in the dream and she's bored of the dream.
Okay. Well, you know, I would go down the road of, okay, let's get into boring. Let's really understand in your waking experience, when does that happen? What happens with that? How do you get bored? A lot of times boredom is really, you know, we've categorized all these emotions as good and bad, right? Boring is bad. Well, boring may be another way of getting your attention. And again, I'm in the dark here because I haven't read the dream and I haven't talked to your friend. And that's really important. Talking about a dream is like, you know, and I keep referring back to music because I know a lot of people who listen to you are musicians. It's really about the song in you that created this dream. Okay, that's one idea. Lucid dreaming. What is lucid dreaming? From my perspective, lucid dreaming is when you make a decision in a dream. So you're in some kind of situation and you decide, you know what, I'm going to leave here and I'm going to go down the street. That's when your cognition has entered your imagination. That's the marriage between what we might call day school and night school. There is a whole school of people who want to use the idea of lucid dreaming to actually shape and in a way control their dreams. And many times they use lucid dreaming in groups for healing. I mean, I'm not knocking it. It's not something I do. But that school of thought basically says, I can take this imaginative part of myself and direct it. The reason I don't do that is because I think we think too much as it is, right? So
so you're thinking, right, let's just, fuck's sake, you don't have to be working while you're sleeping as well. You know, you've got another, more stuff to do, a to-do list while you're sleeping. Well, I've actually just, I keep on interrupting you, but this is just on the lucid, I was going to say lucid groaning again, lucid dreaming point. Is that one of the reasons I kind of figured out how to do it a few times. And what I found out, it's a good way of curing sleep paralysis, which is something that's only ever happened a few times to me. And it was usually as a result of maybe working too hard, partying too hard, not sleeping right, not looking after yourself right. I know that for me personally, that's why I felt like it happened. And when I woke up, so I found a way to hack the sleep paralysis, which is where you can't move at all. So I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on that. But then I managed to explode into, so the way you do that is you imagine a happy place, imagine somewhere really nice, somewhere that you could do that now, you could do that in a day-to-day place where you imagine a nice place where you feel happy and comfortable in. And then that means if you do have sleep paralysis or something like that, or I suppose it probably worked for a nightmare as well, potentially, you can just like fly through the universe to your happy place and beat the sleep paralysis demon or whatever that might be. And it's actually quite a great feeling where you've won and you're now flying and you're in the safety of your happy place. However, what I did notice is, and one of the reasons I'm not really into lucid dreaming anymore, is I remember trying to do a lucid dream in a normal dream, and I felt the feeling or the judder or the fuzz of sleep paralysis beginning. So I feel like they might be intrinsically linked in some way. So, you know, if I can't lucid dream, I'll take that so that I don't have to go through sleep paralysis. And I back you up 100%. We work hard enough as it is. So do we really need to fill our night's sleep up with more things to do?
Well, yeah. I mean, to me, you want that experience in your life. But I got to ask you, when you say sleep paralysis, does that mean when you wake up, you can't move?
Yes. So it was like you know, it's like you can't move. You are you feel awake. It's almost like you could try and scream, but you couldn't. You know, it feels like you can't move. It's like you're somewhere in the middle between sleep and awake.
Okay.
You know, and it's only ever happened a couple of times. It's not happened for years, thankfully. But yeah, I think that was purely down to just not sleeping right, not eating right, you know, too much work, too much fun, that kind of thing.
Right. When you sleep, you are paralyzed. I mean, what works obviously is your heart and your breathing. And as I've mentioned, there's a lot of stuff going on in your body, but you can't move. And there's a reason for that because, and we know, you know, some people sleepwalk. That's when that function is not working because we want to be not moving when we're sleeping because we're not aware of where the heck we are, and you can really hurt yourself and get yourself in some trouble. So it sounds to me like what's happening is as you're beginning to wake up, because you have sort of exhausted yourself in some way, that the connections aren't quite firing yet for you to actually fully wake up.
And obviously you're obviously in a bit of distress. So it's not easy. You're not exactly relaxed enough to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So I think that like Colin's saying I get sleep paralysis very regularly. Thanks for the instigate of it. I'll try and report back if it works. Yeah, so Collins, what you do is, so in the meantime, just in your day-to-day, just imagine a happy place, get it in your head, just imagine it, the detail, pick I don't know, countryside or a forest or whatever you use your happy place. Just put as much detail in it in your head as you can. And then the next time sleep paralysis comes, transport yourself to it. And it does actually work. Well, anecdotally, it worked for me. So give it a shot, man. Because Lindsay says sleep paralysis is used by folk who want to practice astral flight. No, this is interesting. Where do you come? What do you think about that stuff? Astral flight. Because I suppose that what I'm kind of doing when that sleep paralysis, I suppose, is a method of astral flight from the shite place to the happy place. And it feels very lucid. It feels like there's a bit of control to it. So, yeah, I'm interested. What do you think about the possibilities of astral flight?
Well, you know, one of the things that I think may or may not help us is that we've taken aspects of this imaginative experience we have and we've named them. So you and I speak English, right? There's 188,000 words in English. 70% of them are nouns, right? So we use nouns, things, to describe experience. An experience is not a thing, it's an experience, right? So astral dreaming, transporting yourself through time is, I would argue, a very normal experience. It's who we are as human beings. Now, some people are more aware of that than other people. That's fine. But this whole astral projection and all that kind of stuff, we've made it kind of mysterious. And, you know, if I have any kind of mission in life, it's to try and demystify this experience we have of dreaming and to really repatriate it, to say, wait a minute, this is part of being human, you know? It really is. And the fact that I do this, that I have those kinds of dreams, isn't weird, isn't strange, isn't abnormal. It is part of being human. So yeah, there are lots of times when dreams come to me where people have literally transported themselves out of their bodies, watched themselves in a dream. We have things called near-death experiences. There's a whole range of experiences that we have. So,
and it's been well documented. CIA and stuff like that have tried to use people have been able to dream or lucid dream or guess what's going on in other parts of the world or solve crimes. There's kind of mixed information whether that's true or false, but I think that it has happened. Lauren says, I want to know if it's normal to have very vivid dreams every single night. I often feel like I don't get rest due to the activity in my dreams. I used to sleepwalk with it too. So what is that? Is that good? Because obviously you're talking about you're one for trying to relax and get a good night's sleep. So is too much activity a bad sign? And how does she get around that? And what's sleepwalking? That's a bit mental, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there's two things here. So when you dream, there are times in my life where I will have 4 or 5 dreams a night. It is exhausting. And you can ask literally, you can, before you go to bed, you can set an intention and say, you know what, I really need a good night's sleep. Could we like dial it down? Because you're not out of control here. You know, there is this communication between, again, what I call night school and day school. There is this conversation. You can ask to not have a dream, to like, I got to sleep tonight. And maybe it won't work the first time, but it's a dialogue. This is not something that's out of your control.
Wow. Okay, so how does that work? How do you tell yourself not to have a dream? What's the process?
Literally, you know, and it's not a huge amount of energy. It's like you get in bed, you go, you know what? I need to sleep tonight. I'd like to set an intention that I'm not going to have a dream. Or if I have one, then I'm going to have one, you know, 10 minutes before I wake up. And you try that. That's one thing. The other one is, there is a process. You have a dream, you write it down, and you tell someone. And that's hard because lots of times people don't want to listen to your dreams, right? So you find somebody who will just listen to your dream, because the reason you're having them and they're so vivid is they're trying to get your attention about something. I don't know what it is, but the more you allow that conversation, in other words, it sounds like this person is feeling like, enough already. I don't want this. Okay. But if you take it in and you talk about it and you experience it and you live in it, it calms down, right? I had a woman who kept dreaming about snakes, scared the living daylights out of her, right? She didn't want any more snake dreams. So we used the technique. It's called active imagination. It's like if you had a great conversation with somebody and you thought about it during the week, that's an example of active imagination, because you're going back into the conversation. You remember, oh, they said this and I said that, and that was really cool, and all that kind of stuff. Same thing with a dream. You go back into the dream. We went back into the dream. We met the snake. Who is the snake? And as she met the snake and understood this was her creation, she stopped dreaming about him.
So the snake was actually a good guy. Or what you're saying is it's a creation of yourself, so you shouldn't be fearing any of this stuff. And what would you say about, what's the difference between dreams and dreams? So, you know, you've got, you know, my dream is to hit 200 patrons by the end of the year. That's my dream. But then I also have dreams like I need a haircut, and I do need a haircut. So what is the differences, and what do dreams have in common with dreams? If you know what I mean, ambition dreams and sleep dreams. So where do they come together?
All right. So here's the thing. So the question would be, what does 200 patrons mean to you?
Well, it means that it would mean that it would cover my bills finally. It's been a tough year for the events industry and artists, as you can imagine. So 200 is kind of like, that would give me some breathing space. Okay. I don't ask for much. Well, I'm used to very little. I don't need fancy anything. I just I just need a bit of breathing space so that I can, you know, make more music with them without having to worry about stuff as much.
Okay. So here's the thing. What you just told me is that the 200 patrons represents
the snake.
What?
Is this the snake? The 200 patrons?
No. I'm going to say to you that in your waking life, that's your goal, right?
Yeah.
But what it means to you is that you would be freed from worrying about some stuff that's taking up your time when you'd rather be doing your creative work. Okay. So yeah, that's a goal, but the 200 patrons is really not the goal. The goal is for you to be in a financial situation where you don't have to worry about this stuff. And it's sort of kind of symbolized by the 200 patrons. Okay. What your dreams are probably going to do is a couple things. One is try and get you to stop worrying, because that's not going to be useful, and do exactly what you're doing. I mean, the fact that you started off with this raffle, you know, with the synergy with the woman who made those things, that's what it's about. That's how you get to the 200, right? Because
synergy, serendipity, and synchronicity.
Yeah.
What is that? What's that all about?
Okay. So we have a thing called cause and effect, right? So you're playing pool, and one ball hits the other, and the other one moves. That's cause and effect, right? Synchronicity is not that. There is no cause and effect. There is simply somebody once said we all breathe together, right? Everything breathes together. And so it's much more of allowing yourself to participate in that. And that sounds, woo-woo and weird. But the fact of the matter is, quantum physics tells us that's how the world works. We have this connectivity with everything. So synchronicity is allowing yourself to pay attention to experiences that you might disregard, because those experiences are really trying to help you pull yourself into the next larger version of who you are. And for you right now, the next larger version of who you are is going to emerge once you get this financial thing straightened out of your head.
Patrons is what I need to just exist, to be me. 200 patrons. And we're actually nearly there, because thanks to Susan and Bomb Scare, we're now up to 181 patrons. So if we can get one more Patreon tonight, then we're going to announce our big all-day Christmas special at Capture Works. So I'll put a link in the comments. I'm going to play a song just now to give everyone give you a chance to get a drink or whatever, or watch the song, because this was written purely from a dream. And this is this is probably a thing that you'll get asked a lot about, is like when you're going through grief and you're visited by someone, a loved one who's passed away. So we'll talk about that after it, but this is the Multiverse of Sleep. And the video was shot on an iPhone while I was supposed to go on holiday, but I just made a video because it was beautiful. So it's in Spain. So this is Multiverse of Sleep by Jackal Trees.
See my fallen comrade in the multiverse of sleep. What was once a nightmare is just somewhere we now meet. We meet, we greet, we speak, we reminisce and digest. Wake up before you get to tell me why you faked your own death. Nothing dead about the memories you sprinkled in your wake. The stardust in your footprints, the gusto in your flames. Nothing dead about the memoirs they don't see fit to print. But they don't seem fit to live to me. They don't live, they exist. They cast a stone of judgment from the safety of the lair. They lay inside the shell. Oh, you live on in a prayer. You live on in the truest anecdotes of our time. And you now live on in anyone who tolerates this rain. Last night the skyline crouched down, looked me dead in the eye. A dark cloud motioned to me that you were doing fine. Cosmic reassurance is all I have to mend me. At least these hallucinations recently got friendly. Chinese whispers, shape-shifting through oxygen, morphing into something that is nothing of the origin. People act like they know you, but make dangerous assumptions. Try to rewrite certain history when memory malfunctions. There's not many left who are in our class, so it's only right that I raise this glass. My friend, my witness to 10,000 of our stories. Nowadays nobody truly, really knows me, but I'm grateful that we met. And it's great we sometimes speak when I see my fallen comrade in the multiverse of sleep.
You call that radio? Call that radio.
Going back to the people who hated on me.
And then I see the disinfectant. It knocks it out in a minute.
try to take my voice from me.
Is this a Netflix thing?
It's actually a podcast.
What the fuck's a podcast?
You know, it's kind of like a radio show.
Take what they want from me. Destroy me, try to poison me. Make me excommunicate. Messing with my trajectory. A voiceless visionary is a lighthouse with no battery or
No, cut. And we're back.
Hey.
Hello, Will. How's it going, man? So, yeah, that was Multiverse of Sleep by Jackal Trees. What do you make of that?
Oh, that was kind of cool, actually. Where was that shot?
So that's in a place in South Spain. So, yeah, it's a bit more tropical than the weather we get in Glasgow, that's for sure.
That was interesting. I mean, you know, I'm an old rock and roll guy, so it's a little past me in terms of the evolution of music, but
yeah, well, I mean, it's don't worry, it's confusing for anyone who's in Glasgow as well. So yeah, it would probably take a few listens. But yeah, so the idea of I know there's lots of questions coming in, so I'm going to read out some questions in a wee minute. But what must be a common one? The idea of grief, is that the brain telling you that it's comforting you in some way, or what's going on?
You mean when someone who is passed shows up in your dream?
Yes. Because obviously, I think there's obviously 2 elements. I think that for anyone who's been recently bereaved, it can be quite an upsetting experience. And then as time goes on, it tends to become, you know, a really nice experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, in my experience, usually, particularly if it's, you know, the passing has been recent, it's a way of comfort. It's a way of showing up and really sort of validating the idea that the soul is eternal, that we go on. Maybe not obviously not in this reality, but that, you know, that it's okay. You know, I'm okay. And usually, you know, what grief is about is loss for us. You know, it's the person who's passed is on to something else. It's about, you know, how much we miss them. And many times they'll come back and show up because we miss them. And then some years later, you may experience that person coming back for a specific reason in the dream, in the plot of the dream, because there's something about them in terms of your life experience that you're trying to talk to yourself about. So it really depends on, you know, how soon after they pass. But always, in my experience, when somebody recently passed comes up in a dream, it's literally to comfort.
Another one that you'll get asked about as well is, what does it mean when you're falling in your dream? This seems to always happen to me, maybe obviously at the start. Usually, once again, when I'm overtired, if that makes sense. It's like your body's like, you feel like you're just falling. Like that.
Well, you know, when you ask me this question, it's kind of like it goes back to that book we were talking about, you know, before we got on the air, that, you know, you look up in the book, oh, what does it mean if I'm falling, right? And you can find out.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing your nothing because I'm just going to keep asking you, and you're just going to give me the same
answer. Right. It's fine.
It's about context. So I'm starting to learn what this is about. So it's about the context, and also how does it make you feel when you're following? Is it like a wee, whoo, or is it like that was quite upsetting? I felt like I was going to die there. I felt like I was actually dead. I was dead. I was a goner. I was upsetting.
Okay. Yeah, all that matters, right? It really, you know, I've had dreams where people are on, you know, standing on the edge of a 50-story building with, you know, 50-mile-an-hour winds, and they're fine, you know, in the dream. That's fine, right? It's like my heart's in my mouth as I'm listening to the dream. It's like, oh my God, right? So it really depends on what we call the emotional arc. First, there's the story, right? We get the story. And then there's the emotional arc of the dream. How does the feeling progress in the dream? And then as you talk about it, what happens is all of a sudden you start feeling like, oh, yeah, now I get this, right? there's no way to figure it out. You have to sort of go back and experience the dream and the telling of it.
Do you know, it's interesting that you said that, because Susan has made it added to the point we're making earlier on. And it was actually not what I was expecting. She said that she was laughing at Lucid Gronin. I've copyrighted Lucid Gronin, by the way. Hashtag Lucid Gronin if you want to join the chat on Twitter. So she says, I'm bored in the dream, but the dream fascinates me afterwards. So that's really interesting, because I would have just assumed that you're bored in the dream and you're bored and you're just bored, but you're quite fascinated by it. So it sounds exactly what you're saying, Will, that maybe there's obviously there's a story in this dream that she's not quite figured out yet. And that's why she's fascinated, because she wants to go back. She's missing something. And to be honest, Susan, she's probably working in a situation whereby she is doing lots of organizing and stuff. So there is something just missing from the story.
Yeah. Well, it's literally in the telling of it. And, the other thing is, I always remember this expression. I don't know whoever said it, but make haste slowly. Okay. Which sounds strange, but yes, you want to understand it. And that takes sometimes a little time. Sometimes things just unfold. There's the next step and the next step and the next step. You got 19 patrons to go, right? That's nothing compared to where you've come from. You got 181. So I can't do the math, but in my head, but 19 is like, you're going to be there in no time, right? That was making haste slowly, because you had an idea. It's become a show. It's become a podcast. You're on different platforms. It's all expanded over time, right? It's unfolded. And that's what a dream does. If you allow it to inform you, if you go back after you've had a dream, you go like Susan's doing, she's going back into this dream and going, what the heck is this, right? And you sit in that dream and it begins to inform you. And that causes you to take action, just like you did, right?
While we're talking about books as well, you've got your own book, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've got your website on there as well. How long was the process in getting the book done?
Well, I started doing videos probably, 2.5 years ago. And, I get an idea, I do a video and so on and so forth. And people kept saying, oh, you should write a book. Now, there's a part of me, and there's a lot of Scots in me. There's a part of me is like, you write a book, I got stuff to do. I don't want to write a book. And I should know, as I have that reaction over and over and over, is like, okay, I should look at this. So once I had done enough videos, it was like, okay, I can now organize these videos in a way that would make sense. And that's really what the book is. It's not entirely the videos, but they certainly helped me write it. And I started writing it last November, and I think we published it, I want to say in March, I think. March. And I wrote the book to be read, which means that it's not some theoretical tome about, this is how you work with dreams. It's a series of ideas like we've been talking about here today, right? A number of different ideas about what this experience is like. And the repetitive thing that I'm always saying to people is, this is normal. This is ordinary. This is not something weird or strange, or that you need some guy with 18 degrees to tell you what the heck your dream means. Because all that means is you're taking your experience and giving it to somebody else and saying, tell me what it means. Well, they can't. I can't. I go in the book and look up all the symbols, but that's not what your dream is. Your dream is part of your experience that you're trying to integrate. That's all.
Pillarstone Project. Active imagination was a concept developed by Jung. If dreams is nature giving us a message in symbolic form, as Jung believes, are the characters we talk to actually then separate from us?
Interesting question. Okay. Yes and no. So you dream about somebody. Is the dream about them? Yeah, because you put them in the dream. Is it not about them? Yeah, it's not about them, because you put them in the dream to talk to yourself about some aspect of them that you have put in this story. Okay. So I guess another way to think about it is that Jung was very big into archetypes, right? What's an archetype? Well, masculine energy. feminine energy. They're archetypes, okay? And the problem from my perspective is he named them, right? Because now you go into a room of therapists or psychologists and everybody's talking about these archetypes and everybody thinks they know what they're talking about. And they do for themselves, but they don't know if the other person knows. So I try to stay away from any of the jargon, any of the naming, and just, as we've been talking about, what's the experience like? And let me digress for 1 second. I just want to tell you this one thing, because I heard this from a guy named Richard Tarnas. There's this idea of masculine and feminine energy. And he said, well, that's only 2 energies. There's really 4. There's the masculine version of masculine energy. There's the masculine version of feminine energy, and vice versa, right? And the way I think about it is that when I held my newborn son right after he was born, that was a very different experience than when his mother held him. Because I have that masculine energy, but I have the feminine version of the masculine energy. And it sort of says to me that, whoever, put that in your chat stream understands pretty well what Jung was talking about. And the guy was a genius. I mean, I think he was much more of a mystic than he was a psychologist, actually. And he was a master astrologer for the last 20 years of his life. But what he was trying to say is that there are these energies that are universal. And do they appear in our dreams? Yes, they do. And guess what? They appear in our waking life as well. The way men and women relate to each other. That is energetic way, and it doesn't mean just men and women, men and men, women and women, it doesn't matter. And all these things that he worked with, unfortunately, we've kind of made them into a Bible, or we've deified Jung and stuck him on a pedestal somewhere. And the guy was a genius. But what matters is what it means to us, what it means to you, what it means to me, what it means to anybody who's listening to this. That's why you can't really go to a book and get a meaning that's going to mean anything to you.
I liked what you said about the fact that, you can have people in a room and everyone's talking at has different definitions for the things that they think they're agreed on. I think it's Robert Anton Wilson said the map is not the territory or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So it's just quite interesting for people to check out as well. So yeah, you might think that you're talking about something that you both understand, but everyone might have a slightly different definition or a different feeling about it. It's actually Susan's got another mention about Jung. Thanks, Susan, by the way, for becoming a patron. We only need one more. And we can. My dream for today was to announce the lineup for the Christmas Capture Works show. We only need one more patron, and we're going to do it. We're going to do this. I believe. Okay, so Jung says dreams are the facts from which we must proceed. What does Will think of this way of looking at dreams? Dreams are the facts from which we must proceed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think we touched on this earlier, but let me sort of say it again. The problem we have in modern society, to a large degree, is that we don't really have a container for our cognition. In other words, in the moment, if we can think anything up, that's the context, right? So I'll give you an example. I live in the state of New Mexico in the United States. 30% of the kids in this state, in the United States, go to bed hungry every night, okay? Now, that's a fact. And we live with that because we have made up some reasons why that's okay. There's no container. Or as Jung would say, there are no facts. We're not living in the facts of our imagination, of our compassion, of our fierceness. Because if we were, we wouldn't let 30% of the kids in this state go to sleep hungry. It would be
it's outrageous. Outrageous. There's actually, and I don't know if it's the same in America, but in Britain, there's been a massive rise in food banks, which is what people donating food.
Here too. Yeah.
The supermarket, I think it's. I don't want to name drop a supermarket in case I get the wrong one because they're all the same to me in a lot of ways. But a supermarket has sort of normalized a food bank pack, so it's like a collection of things that food bank needs. And this is on Christmas adverts, like, oh, remember to pick up your food bank packet on the way out. And obviously, no disrespect to people who are, of course, buying the stuff for the food bank and donating to the food bank. Please do donate to the local food bank if you can. They really need it. But the fact that this is actually on a Christmas advert for a supermarket on mainstream television, and it's somehow acceptable, and we're not, we're not holding politicians to account for this, is absolutely disgraceful. Sorry to interrupt there, but I just thought I'd agree with you.
No,
there.
I think it's exactly the point. And what I think the point Jung is trying to make is that if we live from the part of ourselves, we could call it the soul, we could call it the heart. If we live from there, then this idea, which I had a teacher years ago who said to me, cognition needs to be the gardening tool of the soul. It's the same thing Jung's saying. It's like what we think up needs a context. It's not just because we can think it up, because we can rationalize anything, right? We can come up with reasons. And there's a whole, we don't probably have time today, but there's a whole idea about, well, what is reason really about? Is it really rational? The answer is no. Reason is designed to win arguments. That's what it's for. We've proved that in study after study after study. It's not objective at all. So we can cook up anything. And if we lose the container of our soul, then we end up with the kind of reality we're all operating in now. If we pay attention to our dreams, if we live from that space, then what we create with our brains has a context that's human. Right now,
we're getting better at arguments, aren't we? We're getting better at arguing. Well, I don't mean in a positive way. I just mean we're getting better at having online arguments. Like you said, just the reason. People are getting better at giving their reasons why they're right without listening to the other person's point of view. It's all about winning that one-sided argument. People are just arguing with themselves. And I've got a really interesting question about the dream within a dream. Obviously, we know that the general answer would be there, that context, how you're feeling and stuff like that. But is there anything that pops up commonly when you're a dream within a dream?
Just from a conceptual standpoint, that's really a fascinating thing, because it basically says to us, we're thinking of this binary idea, right? We're awake, we're asleep. We dream when we're asleep. We don't dream when we're awake. Well, first of all, that's not true. We dream all the time. We just don't pay attention to it. When you dream within a dream, the message really is that there are many layers to this experience that you have, that you go into, that has nothing to do with how you walk around and think all the time. And obviously you're right, we need context, but those dreams, dreaming within a dream, is really a message to you that says you've got the opportunity here to go into a pretty deep space that is within you. Okay, you're not crazy, you're not weird. This is very ordinary experience in many cultures in the world. Certainly for thousands of years, it was a very ordinary experience. We've decided it's not, to our detriment.
Why is that? Why is it? And how long has this been going on for? What is the problem with our culture and the way we look at dreams?
Well, there's this idea of subconscious and unconscious. And the reason we have two words is because there's a guy named Pierre Genet who came up with the idea of subconscious, and Freud was his contemporary and thought that was great. And then Genet accused Freud of stealing his ideas, and Freud said, the heck with it, it's not subconscious, it's unconscious. That's why we have these two words. But why did they do that? Because at the turn of the 20th century, we were in the industrial age, right? The height of the industrial age. And just like the computer is the metaphor now for us, the machine was the metaphor then. Well, what's a machine? It's a bunch of pieces and parts, right? Something doesn't work, you take it apart, replace the part, put it back together, it works. So we thought up a construct about 120 years ago that says, oh, you've got sort of different aspects of your consciousness, and we're trying to get this part to move into that part. And so what happened? We came up with this idea that we can figure stuff out, okay? Which we can. But that's where we lost the container. That's where we lost the mystery. And that's why Jung and Freud fell out. Because, as I said, Jung was much more of a mystic. When last 20 years of his life, he did become an astrologer. He would cast a chart for every client. Why? Because he understood that there are these universal energies and that they shift and change all the time. Astrology is just another metaphor, right? Astrology really is something that we have created, but it is another sort of way of getting ourselves into this idea of these energetic states that don't, quote, make sense. So really the modern...
Is that like the sort of idea that the galaxy is kind of almost like a copy of your DNA structure?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like, again, we all breathe together, and that doesn't mean just us human beings. It means everything. It means the planets, the galaxy, the universe. It all breathes together. Again, quantum physics is telling that at the micro level. But that's the idea, that we are totally all connected, and it's not woo-woo. It's science. We are. I
love the idea that the woo-woo thing's quite funny, because I always wondered I was wondering if you were going to out woo-woo me, and then I think at times I've been out woo-wooing you. So I think it's kind of like been a draw at times, which is good to see, because I think, like, where I'm at, and I think that I definitely believe there's just a lot of stuff there that we don't understand. So I'm always very open to that, but also quite skeptical of certain gurus out there, or people who have all the answers as well. So I think what's been really good about your videos is you're coming to a lot of opinions based on a lot of rational thought, but you're also keeping your mind open to other stuff out there that you maybe don't understand.
Well, I think that's key. I'm very suspicious, as you are, of people who have a theory of everything. I don't have a theory of everything. The older I get, the more I know how much I don't know. Now, I have a certain facility and a certain skill to work with people with their dreams, but I don't have any answers. It's your dream, you have the answer. I'm just going to help you figure out what it is. And so we get a lot of people who, what happens, Mark, is like people will give up their sovereignty to somebody else. It's like, I can't figure this out. Makes me too anxious. I'm not that smart. You tell me. Okay. That's not going to work. You're not going to have a happy life. You're going to follow those rules for a while and discover you're in the same place you were. It's in you. There's no other way except to go in and understand the conversation you're having with yourself.
Absolutely. And I'm going to put on a one more song. You can. It'd be great if you could stay just till we come back, because I think one more song will be enough time for us to get that final Patreon.
Yes.
So we can make the big announcement. So we need one more Patreon. Thanks to Susan and Bombscare, we've got 2 new Patrons tonight. We need one more, and then we're going to announce the Capture Works Christmas. Also, cool. I think it's a good point just to one more time plug your book as well. Well, I'm really looking forward to reading it. It's willsharron.com is the website. I'll put that in the comments as well for people. And yes, it's available on Amazon as well. Yep, it's available in all those places. So, we're going to play a little song just now, which is called Time Machine Prescription. And this is an old song for me. I remember writing it. I remember the moment the lyrics came to me, pretty much all of it in one go. There was an element of editing as the song progressed. I don't think the song was recorded till a couple of years after the initial moment. But yeah, just I think the lyric is, he prescribed me a time machine, was at the doctor's as part of my dream. And, looking back, I think like a lot of dreams and stuff when you write down, I have done a dream diary before, but it's hard to kind of maintain. I always forget it. And it doesn't really, at the time, it just looks like gibberish. But from writing lyrics, there's so much that I would imagine the benefits of a dream diary, because as a lyricist, you see it all the time. You write something that just sounds good, or it rhymes well, and then a year later you go, oh, I know exactly, or even 5 years later, you can without the lyrics being dated, I can pick up a sheet of paper and go, I know exactly when that was written. It transports me to those feelings.
Yeah.
And yeah, what would you say about that before we play the song?
Yeah. So very true. And here's the thing. This relationship with what we could call your dreamer is pretty fragile in this culture. Why? Because you don't have anybody to talk to about it, or a lot of times you don't. You know, many people, like you say, "Oh, I had this dream. Can I tell you?" They're, "No, please don't tell me your dream." Right? Now they're missing out, and you're missing out. But it's a fragile relationship. So when you say you keep a dream journal, but then it goes away, it's why? Because there's no audience. People come. I'll just tell you this one quick thing, and we'll listen to the song. So people say to me, "Well, you know, I really like to work with my dreams. I can't remember them." What do I say? Make an appointment. Okay. And then there's this part of you that goes, "Oh, wait a minute. There's this guy next Wednesday. He's going to listen to a dream." And I guarantee every single time it works. They come in, they have a dream. Why? Because they have an audience now. Okay. And your music lyrics, you hang on to them and they bring you back to exactly when you wrote them. Why? Because you have an audience for them. Your dream state, not so much, you know, and that's why, you know, that's why it's useful. Join a dream group. Just, you know, find some way to tell the story of the dream. That's
Absolutely.
How you understand what it is.
Amazing, man. And I was just sorry. The reason I laughed there was because that I have an audience. I definitely didn't have an audience when I wrote this song. This was very, very early days of the Gyro Babies, my other band. And yeah, check it out. This is Time Machine Prescription.
And he prescribed me a time machine. Was at the doctor's as part of my dream, and he prescribed me a time machine with the magic watch on his wrist with the laser beam. Oh, he says there's no way back for you unless you go back in time. You can rewind with your mind. If you're quick, you'll witness my descent, and then you can comment on it over and over again. Sign divorce papers with your lucky pen. Hopefully you'll never have to work again. I'm not the only one who's not decisive, and even as I write this, I'm in crisis. I gave it all between free and priceless. I don't really like this life, it's too lifeless. This life is too lifeless. Then he prescribed me a time machine. Was at the doctor's as part of my dream, and he prescribed me a time machine with a magic watch on his wrist with the laser beam. Oh, he says there's no way back for you unless you go back in time. You can't rewind with your mind. Back in Japanese to the moon and the stars. Thinking business travel and the flying cars. It seems so real and attractive to see the sea on the cliff. You're talking about the future, the dormant closing step. Oh, look down on me, I wanna look down on you. There is no hate or economics to do. And my mind, you can't be blamed to travel back in time. The arrows fly by, the beast try again.
Your doctor's diagnosis, curing fragile. Rock and smoke the door, back to the floor. Remote control, wait, what the clock's back for?
How do we educate our children to take their place in the economies of the 21st century? How do we do that, given that we can't anticipate what the economy will look like at the end of next week? Every country on Earth is trying to figure out how do we educate our children so they have a sense of cultural identity and so that we can pass on the cultural genes of our communities while being part of the process of globalization. How do you square that circle?
You call that radio?
Makes coherent sense.
Brothers and sisters, is that you, Daniel? Are you before me?
Call that radio.
You call that radio?
Hello? Yes, this is Dog.
This is You Call That Radio. That was Time Machine Prescription by the Gyro Babies. I don't know if you'd like to comment on that from a dream point of view.
I don't know. Maybe it came out of a dream. I have no idea.
It did. It certainly did. It was dreamt. It came from a dream. I was lying on a couch and I woke up with that. Very good question that I forgot to ask earlier. My friend Gaynor. I'm not going to read. People have loads and loads of questions about weird dreams that they had. You know, people were saying, I keep on having a dream. Jay had a dream about, I keep dreaming that Nicola Sturgeon won't be my pal. And things like that. But we've learned tonight, I'm not going to do any more of this because we've learned tonight that it's all about context. Ask yourself, how do you feel after a dream? How does that dream make you feel? And then you're going, and also if you want to know more, then buy Will's book. And I'm sure you'll learn a lot more from buying the book as well. I think that's what was happening. But one thing that I thought was interesting was Gaynor asked, why can't I throw a decent punch in my dream?
I don't know.
I think she said she couldn't find that satisfying rattle. You know, like she can't get this, you know what I mean?
I'm not sure what you're asking. No.
All right, no. Well, this is another one. What about this? This is another one for people who are interested in lucid dreaming. You can maybe tell me, confirm or deny if you've heard of this one before. So if you're in a dream, but you don't want to cause a scene because you don't know if you're dreaming or it's real life, and you don't want, you need to know if you're in reality or not. One way to find out and know that you're dreaming is to look at your watch or look for a clock. If you look to find out the time immediately, you will see a clock, and the numbers will be spinning round in a circle. Or if you look at your watch, the clock will be spinning, it'll be all fuzzy. Because for some reason, dreams don't entertain the notion of time. True or false? What do you think?
Well, I would say true, definitely. Dreams don't entertain the notion of time. And basically what you're saying through those techniques is you are deciding something in a dream, right? You're in the dream, you don't know whether you're dreaming or not. So you're making a decision. That's lucidity, right? You're being lucid in the dream. Am I dreaming? I got to know, right? And then you discover, yeah, you're dreaming. And usually then the dream goes on. Once you know you're dreaming, you're okay. It's not real, but you're going to go see the story anyway. Yeah, absolutely. That's a technique I have heard.
Now, I'm going to make one exception because we've got where is it? Oh, it's we've had Alan, we've had Colin, and we've had a few people asking. I think Lee as well. We're asking about the teeth falling out. Now, I was actually going to tell you about this strange coincidence. So I heard that dreaming about your teeth falling out, which we now know maybe is not accurate, but I've heard lots of different things. But I heard that teeth falling out meant that you were going to come into money. And I think that came from a dream book that I read when I was a child.
I'm sure it did.
And yeah, but interestingly, honestly, man, I don't know if this is coincidence or whatever it is, but this has happened to me twice where I have had that dream and woke up and I came into money. Not like I didn't win the lottery or anything, but I think I just got paid by someone who owed me money. But you know, that way where I checked the balance and I went, do you know, that'd be interesting? And so that's happened a couple of times. That could be a coincidence, obviously. And also another time I had a dream that my teeth fell out and I woke up to toothache. So I think that was maybe something more.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm in a situation where I can't sort of confirm or deny. It's kind of like it really does matter on what the context is. You think
what could have happened?
12 years old and dream that your teeth fell out. You can be 72 and dream your teeth fell out, and they're different times in your life, right?
And what's maybe happened is because I've read this dream book that it means that you're coming into money. Maybe either the universe or just a pure coincidence like that. In my brain, I figured out like I'm due money eventually. It's coming soon. So maybe, or maybe something more mystical, but it might just be that my brain's went, oh, you get money coming. And because I've learned that I've believed the old wives' tale, that's my brain going, right, let's make this guy dream that his teeth are falling out because he's coming into money and he needs to know that the Milky Bars are on him today.
Sure, could be.
Could well be. Mary says, I heard that losing teeth was losing friends. Well, that could be correct as well. And yeah, Colson, all his dreams seem to have oral problem. Can't speak, like teeth falling out, pulling chewing gum out my mouth. Just keeps on filling out. Yeah, just Colin was asking earlier on as well about he's just having sleep paralysis problems all the time, like major sleep issues, can't sleep, and when he does, sleep paralysis. Is that more like speak to a doctor type thing? Or can that be so?
Like, yeah, it does sound like it. I mean, I don't know whether it's a doctor or whether it's some kind of counselor. But look, it's not a sign of weakness when you got to go talk to somebody. We are human. We are the kind of animal that needs connection. And the idea that you're supposed to solve all this stuff on your own is nuts. So yeah, you find somebody to talk to about it.
It just totally ties in as exactly what you're saying as well, is that you need that audience. You need that audience for your dreams. And if you ever speak to someone about your dreams, I think that a lot of it is just nonsense. I think we can agree that some of it's just nonsense. We can't understand it. But it's usually, if you start explaining your dream, no matter how wild it sounds, just by saying it out loud, you start realizing, oh, that must be related to that. And, so, I mean, would we agree that some dreams are just like nonsense, maybe just like your brain squeezing out some useless information, or is there always a point to it, do you think?
It's kind of like, are there useless conversations? I guess. Yeah, sure. But I think what I'm trying to say to people is, look, the range of experience that you have as a human being is vast. It's just a question of how much you want to pay attention to it. And so to categorize a dream as meaningful versus meaningless, then sometimes I literally have dream envy. Oh, I wish I had a dream of, where I had gods and goddesses in it. You get the dream you need. You know, I mean, I don't know if you need gods and goddesses or not. So I sort of resist the idea that there are some dreams that are meaningless and some dreams that are meaningful. They're all meaningful. Every interaction you have as a human being is meaningful on some level.
That's a great way to put it, man. Thank you very much. Well, I've got some good news. We have hit our target. We have 183. I'll get there.
Well done.
Where's the applause button? We have made it. Brilliant stuff. Well, I'm going to let you go one more time. Thank you so much for your opinions, your intelligence, your patience for dealing with some of the questions as well. Really appreciate that. If you want to treat yourself, if you've liked Will's chat tonight, then go to willsharron.com. Dreaming in the 21st Century, I believe.
Yep.
Dreaming in the 21st Century, also available on Amazon and stuff as well. Really appreciate it. Well, I think we'd love to get you on the show again. So thank you very much.
Sure. And thank you.
Thank you for getting us to 183 patrons. Well, Sharron, everyone. Legend. Okay. We have made 183 patrons. So just want to thank you all. This is exciting. We didn't know if we were going to be able to risk another Christmas show at Capture Works, well, the first Christmas show at Capture Works, because basically the August one went really well and Halloween went really well as well, but it's obviously it costs money to do these things. Took a bit more of a hit on the October one than I would have liked. So it's really, I just put a post up the other day just saying, will people support this if I do it? Because obviously it's right before Christmas, so I don't know if people were up for it or not, or they're going to be busy, or people wanted it. But it seems like the overwhelming majority of everybody who tunes into the show was up for a Christmas party at Capture Works. So I think that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to announce the lineup just now, or most of the lineup just now. So it's all happened quite fast, but I think you're going to like who it is. So yeah, buzzing to do this. I wasn't expecting to do it, so I need to download the flyer that Martin Lindebank has just sent me over. And yeah, I will see you in 2 minutes. Oh, sorry, 30 seconds, just till I get the flyer up on the screen. And exciting. Let us know in the comments who you would like to see.
Brothers and sisters, may the peace that can only come from the one God be upon you. We are here to tell the people that we hear you. One God will not allow us as people of conscience to lose our morale.
Powered by our patrons. We've got thank you, Will. That was really interesting, says Susan. Thank you, Will and Mark. What a fascinating interview. Dream achieved. Yes, indeed. Well done. But also get lucid dreams and recurring dreams a lot too. Well, do the watch thing and transport yourself to that happy place. Maybe my advice. Get that book as well. I think everyone should go and get that Will Sharron book if you enjoyed it. Yeah, I think it deserves a few sales for putting up with my shite for an hour and a half there. Great show. It's on your t-shirt. Sorry, it's not. By the way, this is not who's playing. I did try and get them, but they weren't available. Sadly, as you've got to remember, it is quite difficult to try and book people in this environment. There's also so many variables at play these days. So, but we have got an incredible lineup. We looked at what people wanted. There's a couple of surprises in there. Let's just do it. This is the lineup for the Christmas Capture Works And we go. Bomb scare. Again. Bomb scare again. People ask for more bomb scare. And bomb scare are up for more bomb scare. And I'm certainly up for more bomb scare as well. So bomb scare. The Rag and Bone Man. The Rag and Bone Man. Not Rag and Bone Man. The Rag and Bone Man. Which is Lou, a one-man juggernaut of pure noise, grunge, rock, kill all hipsters, rock music. Big up Montrose boy. Used to be in a band called Ghosts of Progress, one of my favourite bands of all time. And since they split up, he's just been touring Europe himself. And, you know, this guy just travels the world making ear-busting music. And I'm just buzzing to get him on because he's really missing the lack of live gigs. And it's an honour to have him in the show. Who else was on that? Who else was on that lineup? The Fast Camels. Absolute legends, man. Beautiful harmonies. They make proper good pop rock music. Incredible live band. Absolutely buzzing to have them. And then we've got the class of 21 hip-hop cypher. So what we're going to do is, you might have, in America, they have the class of, every year they have the new class of next year's. So I'm going to be picking the best MCs in Scotland, and they're all going to be doing a wee cypher. They're going to be playing a couple of their tunes, and there'll be more announcements on who that'll be. There's probably still one slot left in that. So if you want to suggest anyone who you'd like to see in the hip hop cypher of 2021, then get in touch. We've got lots more to announce. I think we've got one more act on the big stage, and we've got loads more acts on the wee stage to announce as well. So, yeah, it's going to be a good one, the 19th of December. This would not be possible without you guys supporting the Patreon. And I know a lot of you said that on the days would make a wee donation to the cause. If you want to do that just now, you can donate to paypal.me/you call that radio. If you think that you want to support this, because the thing is that you don't have to, but this is the problem, is trying to figure out the right way to do these live stream shows. Now, it would definitely be, it would probably be more financially beneficial if we were to charge tickets, and the only way you get to see it is if you buy a ticket. But it's Christmas time, everyone's struggling. There's loads of people skin out there, and I just want everyone to get together and have a right good party in Christmas. So, in December the 19th, thank you. Yeah, great flyer, Martin Windybank. Absolutely. He's a legend. Fast Camels, yes. Great lineup, Mark. Yes. So glad to have Bomb Scare back. Good show indeed. Dreams fascinate me. And Soarai would be great. Have I Soarai? Wouldn't that be good? Ghosts of Progress, good shout, man. Yeah, absolutely. Lou, Rag and Bone Man, absolute legend. He will be live on You Call That Radio, live from Capture Works for Christmas. So I'm absolutely buzzing for it. I hope you are too. We've still got some big announcements to make on it. If you want to support the thing that we're trying to build, then go to become a patron or make a PayPal donation. It makes all the difference, really does. I've got a really busy month ahead, man. I'm just going to be doing as much as I can. We've got a raffle. Sorry, we've still got a raffle to do tonight. So let's see who's won the Dreamcatcher. So where is it? This, you get to pick which one you want. It's raffle time. So I'm going to go to the random number generator and see who won the Dreamcatcher from the patrons. Okay, so I'm going to play one more song while I get the number. I need to get a random number generator set up. So we'll play one more song. What could we play that's kind of... Oh, we'll play Bomb Scare's new one. That's a good shout. I think they do. Yes. Let's celebrate with a new Bomb Scare song. And this is... What a video, by the way. What a video. And we'll come back and we'll find out who won. One of you guys has won the Dreamcatcher. So let's do this. Find out after this.
strange mood about
You call that radio?
makes coherent sense.
Holy shit. That new bomb scare video is incredible. Wow. What can you say about that? Bomb scare. We're playing You Call That Radio TV again on Christmas, well, not Christmas Day, December 19th, alongside the Rag and Bone Man. Kill all hipsters for rock and roll is the motto of the Rag and Bone Man. The Fast Camels, and we're going to have the best hip-hop cypher of all time, plus one more special guest to be announced on the main stage, and a whole bunch of people on the wee stage as well. So buzzing for it, excited. I'm actually buzzing. I'm buzzing. We're up to 184 patrons. We actually got one more than we needed. This is incredible. The dream was 200 patrons at the start of the year, and it might actually happen. So thank you, everybody. I think it's time for the raffle. So we've got this. Bead the World Glasgow. Add them in Facebook. Bead the World Glasgow. There is another Bead the World. I tagged the wrong one and they got about 40 new likes or something because I tagged the wrong one, which I'm sorry about. Jennifer was on the show the other night. She was doing vulva crochet and all sorts. Very talented. And the man himself, Will Sharron, said that this is an excellent dream catcher. So let's find out who won it. Raffle time. So what we're doing here is we're going to the official random number generator. So we have 184 Patreons. Incredible, guys. I'm absolutely buzzing about that. Absolutely buzzing. So I've typed in 1 as the lowest, 184. And the way that we do the numbers is you get it goes backwards. So for example, Susan signed up to Patreon tonight. I think she was the third last person to sign up. So her number will be 3. And, 184 will be the oldest, the longest serving patron. So that's how that works. So let's find out who is one random number generator. 6. Wow. That's actually, that's going to be someone quite recent. So let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow. Andrew Westcott, who signed up about a week or so ago, I think. Congratulations, man. You have won the Dreamcatcher. I'm just going to take a screenshot of the names so that you can see that is all legit. What I think we're going to do in future is give everybody, I'd love to give everyone a membership card with a number on it so everyone knows their number. The problem with that can be that if someone cancels a membership, then someone else comes in, then it ruins a spreadsheet. But you know what? I'm going to figure out a spreadsheet way of doing this and a more entertaining random number generator. It's stuff to think about. It's stuff to think about in the new year. I need some time off to think about these things. But there's no rest for a long time. We've got all sorts. And we're booked up. We've got the pub quiz next Thursday. We've got the Age of Aquarius. We're bringing back Chris. Oh, I've done that thing. We're bringing back Chris Herron and Bram for the Age of Aquarius. And we're going to be talking about all mad stuff on the 21st to coincide with Solstice and the Age of Aquarius. That's on the 21st. We've got the Capsule Works on the 19th. We've got I'll tell you all about that next week. Just got to focus on 1 week at a time. Believe me, it's booked up. This stuff gets booked weeks in advance now. But I just got to concentrate one thing at a time. Tomorrow night, we've got Gallus. Indie, punk rock, upstarts. Gallus in the house. And who else we got? On Friday, I'm absolutely excited about this one. On Friday, we have the hip-hop battle between myself and Captain Barrett, who's a Boomtown curator, an amazing DJ, and he's representing Welsh hip-hop. So he's going to be playing the best tunes from Wales in the hip-hop genre. I'll be doing the same for Scotland, and it's going to be good crack. It is a battle to the death, though, sadly, so there can only be one winner. Comments. Well done, mate. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for coming back. I thought you'd been away in the huff. We'll try and get Mickey Nines next time. This is an epic night. I'd pay a tenner easy. I think it's value. It's value. Face Gallon just sent 15 quid. Thank you very much, mate. That's amazing. And Mark says cracking band and video and amazing. That bomb scare is a classic. Yes, bomb scare. Come back to Aberdeen. We love you. Thanks for the support, Mark. Thank you for the support. Bomb Scare is a new patron as well. How cool is that? Bomb Scare is a patron. That sounds like a
name drop.
You call that radio?
Thank you very much for everyone who's tuned in. Thank you to we've got Andrew, who won the Dreamcatcher. If you're watching this just now, send me a wee message. See, that's another thing that would be quite good if, I don't know how we could do it, but, you know, because we need to, I would like to surprise people that they've won. So maybe I could do the raffle and then contact them and see if we can get them online. But then if stuff to think about it, it might get a bit no Edmonds. What was that they used to do? But yeah, Andrew, if you're watching, you get to pick one of these. Pick one of the dream catchers and it will be sent out to you pronto. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, of course, to Will Sharron for his excellent dream chat. Go and buy his book at willsharron.com and we will see you tomorrow night, 7 o'clock for Gallus. Thank you, everybody, for supporting the show. I'm actually buzzing. We went from 179 to 184 today. So thank you, everyone. That's people power. That's positive attitude. That's what the dreams are all about. That's the big one, though, isn't it? December 19th. Got a lot of surprises for that one. Brilliant night. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Iria. Thank you, Paul. This has been You Call That Radio TV. The website's finished, by the way. If you're a patron, I'm going to send you a wee link this week so you can get a wee pre-launch swatch. Thank you. Good night. See you tomorrow.
You call that radio. More like a TV show. On almost every night. It's gonna be streaming live. You call that radio. More like a TV show. On almost every night. It's gonna be streaming live. You call that
weirdo or do you want it?